Please don't put watermark in video, teacher. Alright, class, today we're going on an adventure, a journey that never stops. Can anyone guess what I'm talking about? Student 1. Is it space travel? Student 2. Time travel? Teacher. Not quite. It's something happening around us all the time, in the air, in rivers, in the ground, even inside plants. It's the water cycle. Student 3. Oh. Like rain and clouds? Teacher. Exactly. Water moves in a big cycle, and there are 7 important steps. Let's explore them together. Step 1. Evaporation, teacher. Imagine it's a hot, sunny day, and there's a puddle on the ground. What do you think happens to that water? Student 4. It dries up. Teacher. Yes. That's called evaporation. The sun's heat turns the water into water vapor, which rises into the air. This happens in oceans, lakes, and even from wet clothes on a clothesline. Has anyone ever seen that? Student 1. Yeah. My mom hangs clothes outside, and they dry fast when it's sunny. Teacher. That's evaporation in action. Step 2. Condensation, teacher. Now, as this water vapor rises, what happens when it reaches the cooler air high in the sky? Student 2. It turns into clouds? Teacher. That's right. The water vapor cools down and turns back into tiny water droplets. This process is called condensation. Think about how a cold soda can get water droplets on the outside. That's the same thing happening in the sky. Step 3. Precipitation, teacher. Now, what do you think happens when clouds get too full of water? Student 3. It rains. Teacher. Yes. Or it could also snow, sleet, or hail. This is called precipitation. Have you ever played in the rain or caught snowflakes on your tongue? Student 4. I love jumping in puddles. Teacher. That's precipitation bringing water back to earth. Step 4. Runoff, teacher. When it rains, where does all that water go? Student 1. Into rivers and lakes? Teacher. Exactly. Some water flows over the land into rivers, streams, and oceans. This is called runoff. You might have seen little streams forming on the sidewalk after a heavy rain. Step 5. Infiltration, teacher. But not all water runs off. Some of it soaks into the ground. What do you think happens to that water? Student 2. The plants drink it? Teacher. Yes. That's part of infiltration. Some water sinks deep underground and becomes groundwater, which plants and trees use to grow. Step 6. Transpiration, teacher. Now, here's something cool. Plants also help move water. They take in water through their roots and release it back into the air as water vapor. This is called transpiration. Student 3. So trees kind of sweat? Teacher. That's a fun way to think about it. Plants help keep the air moist and cool. Step 7. Evapotranspiration, teacher. Finally, we have a fancy word. Evapotranspiration. It's a combination of 2 things. Evaporation from the ground and transpiration from plants. Together, they send water back into the atmosphere, keeping the cycle going. Student 4. Whoa. So the water we drink might have been part of a cloud once? Teacher. Yes. The water cycle has been moving the same water for millions of years. Maybe the water in your bottle was once part of a dinosaur's drink. Student 1. That's awesome. Teacher. It sure is. And that's why the water cycle is so important. It keeps Earth's water moving and helps all living things survive. Any questions before we wrap up our adventure? Student 2. Can we make a water cycle experiment? Teacher. Great idea. Let's do a fun experiment next to see the water cycle in action. This version keeps it engaging with student-teacher interaction while making the water cycle fun and relatable. Would you like any tweaks or additions?